In this video, I'm going to talk about the magnification levels within the D800's Live View. I'm also going to give you a tip on how to quickly switch between the magnified and unmagnified views. Lastly, I'm going to talk about an issue with the method the D800 employs to give you a magnified view and how that issue can affect your ability to manually focus within Live View. The D800 supports a total of 6 levels of magnification within Live View, including the initial unmagnified view you see when you first enter Live View. The first press of the magnify button brings you to a view about 13% of the image area. The second press brings you a view equal to about 25%. The third press brings you to 50%. And then the fourth press brings you to 100%, which gives you a true one-to-one pixel representation of your image. This is the same type of view you would see if you had this image loaded into Photoshop and you're reviewing at 100%. In this case, you're only getting a 640 by 480 view into the image because that's the actual size of the D800's LCD. The fifth and final click brings you to a magnification level of 200%. You can tell you're at the 200% level because this is the one level in which the green focus bounding box is no longer visible on the screen. The last level in which that's visible is 100%. So that's a good way to know that you're at 200% versus one of the lower magnification levels. In the camera's default configuration, there's no way to quickly alternate between the magnified and unmagnified view, so you have to use the zoom out button to get back to unmagnified. Fortunately, the camera provides an option in which you can reconfigure the center button of the multi-selector to quickly alternate between a magnified and unmagnified view. To enable that option, press the menu button and go into the Control section under the Custom Settings menu. Then scroll down to the multi-selector center button, which is F2, and then move down to the Live View option, which lets you configure how this button operates under Live View. From there, select Zoom On and Off, and then there you have 3 levels of magnification. You have the low level, which is equivalent to 2 clicks of the magnified view, which is 25%. You have medium magnification, which is equal to 4 clicks or 100% magnification. And then you have high magnification, which is equal to the 5th and final click of the zoom in button, or 200% magnification. I prefer to use the 100% level of magnification. Now in your Live View, when you press the center button of the multi-selector, you alternate between your configured level of magnification, which in this case is 100%, back out to a completely unmagnified view. Now I'm going to talk about an issue I found with the method the D800 uses to produce its magnified view. This is probably not going to be the last video I produce on this because I'm still researching all the different situations. But the bottom line is that the camera is not giving you a pure one-to-one pixel level view that you get in a lot of other cameras' Live View implementation, such as the D7000, which gives you a full one-to-one pixel view that's not interpolated. So you actually get the same quality on the screen at 100% magnification as you do if you were to view that image at 100% in Photoshop or even within the camera's image review section. So what the D800 is found to be doing is that it's actually skipping lines off the image sensor and producing a preview that's sort of an interpolated image of what the actual scene is. And so this is similar to what the D90 and the D5000 did, but which was corrected and fixed on the D7000. The problem this causes is that it makes manual focusing within Live View a lot more difficult than it otherwise would be if the image you were previewing was a full non-interpolated image like it is on the D7000 and like it also is in all the Canon Live View implementations. So for certain types of subject matter which contain a certain level of frequency of detail, or which that subject matter is a certain distance from the camera, it can become very difficult to manual focus because the vertical and horizontal lines that are in a scene sort of become crooked and aliased, making it much more difficult to discern when you actually have precise critical focus. What you see on the screen now is an example of that. On the left is a photograph taken of the actual LCD in Live View at the 100% magnification level. Again, that's 4 clicks into the magnified view. What you see on the right is the image review of a photograph taken at that same focus, but in the image review of the camera. So again, the left is a photograph of the Live View representation. The right is a photograph of the LCD of me playing back the photograph that was taken by the camera and then reviewed on the camera. So you can see there's a pretty distinct difference in clarity between the left and the right. On the left, you can see the lines aren't very distinct, both for the horizontal and vertical, where on the right you have the full clarity of the original image. And the image on the right is what you would see in most other cameras' live view preview, such as the D7000 and all of the Canon DSLRs, where they give you the non-interpolated view, which is just as clear as the final image that you would review on the LCD or inside of Photoshop. I'm still actively researching this issue. What I found is that in a lot of real-world situations, such as landscapes, the amount of artifacts you see from the interpolation are not nearly as bad in this example. Because in this example, it's a serial box that's about 6 feet away from the imaging plane. If I move that serial box much closer, the amount of detail that survives the interpolation is much higher, and so the artifacts don't appear as bad and manual focusing can still be achieved. Also, in a lot of distance subjects which don't have this level of detail, I'm also able to find that I can manually focus even with those artifacts. So I expect this won't be my only video on the subject, and as I continue to learn more and hopefully perhaps find even a workaround, I'll come back and produce another video and share anything that I've learned.